Well, we're thrilled actually to be announcing that we've become probably the first gaming company to be carbon neutral. What does it mean? Well, we've actually hired a consultancy called Tunnelly Engineering, UK-based global consultancy helping to specialise in reduction of global emissions. And they helped us look at what our carbon footprint is. And by looking at that and then measuring, reporting and looking at offsetting that, we were able to ascertain what our footprint was and what measures we need to do to become carbon neutral. Delighted to say we are carbon neutral. And we signed up to something called the Climate Pledge as well, one of 200 companies to do that, who are carbon neutral companies.
Well, how does a company like Lottoland, something so online that requires so much energy to provide that sort of technology, find itself carbon neutral?
Well, our carbon footprint isn't massive, and the biggest part of it is electricity, clearly from the office or for our servers, etc. And there's a limit to how you can reduce that. There are strategies to do that, reducing your air conditioning use, turning lights off, have timers on that, etc. But really, there is a limit to what you can reduce. But other than that, it's water usage, business travel. They're the other areas of our carbon footprint, really. And all of those you can do. You can adopt strategies to reduce them. But at the end of the day, it's probably there's a limit to how much you reduce it. So then you need to offset that by doing other actions. And for instance, we've planted over 2 million trees in the last few years. We're involved in a charity in Malta called Saggar, which is trying to plant 21,000 indigenous trees in the country, in the Maltese Islands. We've accounted for about 1,000 of those. So those sort of offsetting strategies enable you to reduce your carbon footprint.
So it is a balance between the two. When it comes to reducing water use, for example, and business travel, like you say, what are some of the employees at Lottoland doing on a day-to-day basis to actually reduce that?
Well, actually, 2020, our carbon footprint was even lower. The measurement we did for this particular announcement was 2019, because obviously no one was travelling and very few people were in the office. But Tunnelly did make some suggestions of things to do, obvious things, really, solar panels, wind power, those sort of things. You reusing water for the sewage system in the offices. I mean, we lease our offices, so there's a limited ability for us to actually invest in those areas unless we do it with our landlords, with their backing. So really it's just trying to educate people about, do you need to travel for a meeting when you could do a Zoom call or whatever, and it's just trying to reduce it at that level as well.
Now, as you mentioned, you've also signed the Climate Pledge, a pledge to become net zero by 2040. Is this realistic, or is this just lip service, as some of the people working here now won't really be here in 19 years' time?
Yeah, I don't think I will be, but I think in 2019 Amazon and a company called Global Optimism got together to create this Climate Pledge, which was really to try and speed up the adoption of net zero carbon usage, to be 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement, so doing it by 2040. I think we might see this week in Glasgow, COP26, that gets brought forward even further. We're carbon neutral already, so we're delighted to be there. It's a very difficult, rigorous process. We have to adopt various techniques to report our emissions, to look at strategies to reduce our carbon footprint, and then to look at credible offsetting strategies. So it's a very rigorous process. So we're very delighted to be asked to be part of that and to be probably the first gaming company to sign up for that.
Now, as you mentioned, COP26 is going on this week. It's a very appropriate time to be doing this interview. We've heard a lot spoken about the need for private companies to step up when it comes to tackling environmental issues. So what would you say about the responsibility you have as a huge company here?
Absolutely. We have that responsibility. We think we have stepped up. Obviously, we're not resting on laurels. We're going to do more than that. The Climate Pledge are actually at Glasgow at COP26, representing the 200 companies that have signed up to this pledge, putting forward other suggestions and then basically listening to other ideas that we can take this to the next level. So yeah, we're delighted to be there at that stage. We're going to do more, and I think it's everyone's responsibility really to save the planet and actually to do more going forward.